Welcome to the Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Hany Rambod, and I'm here with none other than the person you probably didn't expect.
Yeah.
Again, it's been a year, just over a year, right?
Just over a year,
We
yeah.
had our first conversation in 6 years, about a year ago.
Yeah.
And you and I definitely gotten caught up with a lot of stuff that was going on in life. Now you got 2 kids, right? So congrats on the babies. They're not so baby anymore. Your daughter's like, how old now?
She'll be 5 in March.
Wow.
It's gone by so fast. And my son's 15 and a half months.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him being born and seeing it on social. So again, Jeremy Buendia, it's full circle moment.
Yeah. To say the least, right?
Yeah.
This has been it's been a wild ride. And to be back here right now after 7 years?
Yep.
7 years this month, actually.
Yep.
And there's a lot to talk about. There's definitely a lot to talk about. There's been a big gap in those last 7 years that we haven't been around each other. And we do have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of went into it. If you guys were hidden under a rock and hadn't seen the podcast that we did a year ago, that was completely random. Jeremy and I spoke at the Nationals, which is 10 minutes up the road here in Dallas. And he ended up coming over to the gym. He said, I'd love to come see your gym. I said, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. And you ended up coming in, saw the gym, got a little bit of a workout in together. And then we just jumped on the podcast. Yeah. And it became like an hour therapy session to some degree, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got a chance to say what you wanted to say. And, with all the shit that ended up happening. And for those of you that don't know, Jeremy was not only one of my clients and guys that I coached for the Olympias that we had, I think it was like 5 altogether, right? 5 Olympias?
Yep.
Yes. Yep. And so the first 4 we won, and then he had the pec tear, and then placed, I think, what were we, 6th, 5th? Fourth for the final one, 2018. But he was also part of Evagen even a year before that, before we started together. And I think that was, you were like 22?
I was 22. That was 2013.
Yeah. 22 years old. He was from Northern California, local guy. Men's Physique had just started. So again, giving you guys a little bit of backstory. So I apologize if you already know the story. But for those that don't, then he came on board with Evagen. T-shirt was too big that we gave you because Steve Kukla was with me at the time.
Yeah.
And Big Steve, who actually lives just right up the road here, like 30, 40 minutes away. Everything was like extra large or bigger. Yeah. And you were like 150 pounds.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, I wasn't too big back then. But yeah, I mean, I was taking the Evagen product since like 2012. I think the local supplement store picked up the original grape flavored EVP, the Robitussin version, and then Cellchem. This was before Glycoject even came out. And I started competing. You emceed my teen overall win at the Contra Costa.
Yep.
Competed against Boston Lloyd. I didn't figure out that you were the MC until like years down the road. I was rewatching the video. I was like, that voice sounds really familiar.
Yep.
But small world, We ended up signing. I forgot who introduced us, though. Not sure who introduced us. Was it Omar?
It could have been. There was somebody. I don't know who it was. Somebody introduced us, and then you were getting ready for your pro debut. And it was like, hey, I'm getting ready for my pro debut. You don't have a men's physique guy. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know what men's physique is because it was so new. I mean, literally, you hadn't even done, there was no Mr. Olympia yet at that point. And they were just starting to give out the pro cards. Yeah. And you had, I believe, turned pro that week. You ended up turning pro, I believe.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You signed me, I think it was like a month before because you signed me the night before the Greater Gulf States in New Orleans. So it was the night before. I was on the phone with Nick. I remember you guys sent me over the contract. I think we used a fax machine back then.
It might have been. It might have been. Dude, guys, now we're dating ourselves. A fax machine. Yeah. Smoke signals and fax machine. Yeah. And that was what, 13?
Yeah. 2013.
2013. So again, talking about full circle moments, 2013, Jeremy comes on board. Men's Physique starts out in the NPC/IFBB Pro League. And then I had no idea what it was about. So we talked about coaching, and I said, I don't know anything about men's physique. I don't know what they're looking for. And I'm used to doing, training 212 guys, or at that time it was actually 202. I don't think it had moved over to 212 yet. And open bodybuilders.
You had Nicole too.
Oh, yeah. And I had figure. Yeah, figure. And so it was one of those things where it was very, very new. And, you know, to have a division that was in board shorts, and it was kind of like, originally I remember people talking about it like Brad Pitt with abs, right? It was supposed to be like good looking guy, good midsection, you know, chest and shoulders, back muscle, doesn't have to have legs. And that's what it was in the beginning, right? In the very, very beginning. And then you went off, won your first pro show, qualified for the Olympia. Then you went on to take second in your first Olympia to Mark Anthony. Which, by the way, have you spoken to Mark at all?
Yeah. Me and Mark we're on good terms. I see him. Like, whenever I go to Vegas, I see him. Yeah.
Look at you.
I know, right? we've been in all those broker relationships, most of them.
Yeah, you don't want to ask too much.
But no, it's been cool. Yeah, he emceed the Olympia this past year. And he said a lot of nice things on stage, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Mark's a good guy, man. Him and his girl, really nice people. I think they're still in Vegas, right? Yeah. And so they're like, I think they have their show there. If I didn't forget, they also they're just kind of like a Las Vegas kind of like now a fixture out there in the bodybuilding and community, fitness community. But Mark ends up winning the first one. You took second, and then you came to me and you're like, look, I did well. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is cool. And then you start seeing all the kind of the accolades, and people started talking about like where this division was going. And I guess at that point, because people ask me this all the time, they're like, when did you decide that you were going to start coaching Jeremy? And I said, he kept chipping away at me. And if you know, I mean, the recollection I have, and you can tell me if you have the same recollection, was that I was hesitant because I didn't know how coachable you were, because I hadn't really,
we hadn't developed a relationship.
No, it was more of a just business sponsor, owner relationship.
Yeah.
And, but you really wanted to be able to kind of like not only physically grow, but also just be able to get workouts in and be able to put on more size, because you saw the division, like I got to be bigger. You said, you're like, I got to, if I can be like 5 pounds bigger on your frame, it's going to show much more.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it was one of those things where I said, let's get some workouts in. And we did some workouts because, again, it was good for content too.
Yeah.
And just created a better connection. And again, I was just really hesitant about the Olympia stuff because I was also had Nicole, I had Phil Heath. I'm like, okay, do I have too much on my plate if I have to just jump in and start working with you as well? So I was very like, I think let's just kind of like, you do your thing. If you need to work out, let's work out.
Yeah.
But I was more focused on just trying to keep the people that I had at the time doing well. But I think the biggest thing was that when you came to the office and you drove down one day from SAC, and it was the beginning of that year, I think it was 2014. And you said, I know I can win.
Yeah.
I know with your help I can win. I'm really close, but I just need some exercise, and I just need to be able to just get dialed in the last week. And so I guess what was going on in your head at the time? What was your game plan? Because I felt like it was just more of like getting you over the hump, but was that basically what you were thinking too, or was there a different thought process?
No, I just knew what you were capable of doing with your athletes. I saw you worked with the best, and that's what I aspired to be. And I wanted to learn from you. And along with Jay and Phil, being able to sit at the table with you guys at that young of an age was an honor. And I wanted to learn as much as possible. So that was one of the biggest reasons, not just on stage, but, all the other things you taught me in the industry, outside, off stage, the business side of things, how to conduct myself, but kind of faded away towards
a little derailed at the end.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was just a really good opportunity being only 22 years old, brand new into the sport. Bodybuilding wasn't very big in my area, or there weren't any bodybuilders around my area, so I didn't know too much about it. It was just from what I saw in the magazines. So I was very fresh. I didn't know the ropes of the industry and how things worked, and I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. I remember we went to junior nationals or something. Remember that? Yeah.
Oh, I got a phone call on that.
I thought because I took second place, I was automatically getting to shows for free, and said something to somebody I didn't know, and it happened to be the promoter, and that got back to you and Tamer right away, and I got scolded pretty quickly on that. and you're just like,
No.
you're like, just you got to be careful who you talk to.
totally-
You don't know who's who, and
Well, you shouldn't talk to anybody like
You're
that.
right.
Number one.
No, yeah.
Number one. But it was Pam Betts. And I remember in the conversation, and we're going back like 13 years, right? And, you know, at some point you connected with her and said, do you know who I am? And again, the old Jeremy chip on your shoulder and all this, and not that everybody has a chip on their shoulder, but I felt like you at the time were just kind of like, I feel like I made it, right? Again, young, arrogant, narcissistic. I mean, the industry is very narcissistic in general, but it's one of those things where I think that you just were kind of testing your boundaries. And I said, no, dude, this is not how you treat people. You don't go into the shows thinking you own the place.
no, absolutely not.
You know,
Yeah.
you don't go in the shows and think that you're going to automatically give tickets to get in the show just because you placed second at the Olympia.
Yeah.
You turn around and you respectfully can ask if you'd like to, but in a very respectful manner. And that's when, you know, I had you go over and apologize, you know, and say, hey man, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of learning, you know, it was a father and son moment.
Yeah. I don't even like getting free access to gyms anymore. I want to pay. I don't want free access.
Yeah.
I want to.
Well, especially now that you have your own gym. You kind of have
yeah.
that
I mean, I have guys that come in and like, hey, is it free for IFBB pros? I'm like, no, I'm sorry, it's not. Maybe back in the day when it was more, there's just so many pros. I mean, same thing with Gold's Venice though.
Right.
You know, I still, when I was Mr. Olympia, Physique, they let me go in there for free. And I remember I went in there in 2019. They're like, no, you got to pay. I'm like, I won it 4 times. Like, well, you're not the reigning champ anymore. I'm like, damn. All right.
Changed. That membership card changed. That changed quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a known fact that a lot of that environment has changed.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's so many more pros now. Businesses have to be able to pay their bills.
Yeah.
So they can't turn around and be able to do it. So, you know, whether it's the West Coast Mecca or the East Coast Mecca or whoever, you can't just assume that, hey, by the way, I'm so-and-so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the number of pros and vendors now, I mean, probably like 40, 50 times more amount of pros.
It's much bigger
Maybe
now.
more, 100 times more pros.
Yes. So many more pros.
I wonder how many active or how many actual pro cards are out there right now, if they have a number.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, you know, Tyler would know that.
Yeah.
But it's a multitude higher, right? Because the number of pro qualifiers are many, many more, both domestically and internationally. The number of shows. I mean,
there's over 100 pro cards given out a year easily, right?
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah. Because you got to think of all the countries. All the countries all around the world.
Well, I mean, that's why you see the Olympia where it is right now. I mean, the first Olympia, there was 12 or 13 of us on stage. And then even the second and third year, I think there was under 30.
Yeah. Men's physique was how many last year?
72.
72.
Yes.
72. And that's one of the reasons why paying for all of those people, Jake and Dan and everybody else, you know, having to pay for 72 flights and 72 hotels and, you know, per diems and just everything is insane.
Yeah.
And then you multiply that by the divisions because again, bikini, then you have wellness, then you have men's classic physique. I mean, I know the classic physique. I can't remember how many it was last year, but I remember one of the years with Chris, there was like 58 or 60 something. And I'm like, you know, I thought that was a lot. And men's physique, it's even more. And so when you look at it, it's grown exponentially. Yeah. But going back on the whole relationship thing, and just so that we can understand for those that don't know, again, and I apologize if you guys already know the story because many of you do, because they followed us during that whole journey because we documented so much of it. I think we were one of the first to really document
I would say so.
A lot of that because even when I was training with Jay and Phil and all that, it was all done through the magazines. Yeah. It wasn't done on social, where with you and I, the videos, the YouTubes, all of that. And then eventually then Andre, like you saw, like the progression of that what I did with you then did with Andre. And people, like I go all around the world and people are like, whether it's Bino's gym in Dubai or if I'm somewhere in the Middle East, anywhere in the Middle East, it could be Kuwait or it could be up in Italy. I see gyms that are playing videos of me.
Oh, everywhere, worldwide.
Training you or training Andre or, you know, a lot of the guys. But that's where it really blew up because when I was training Phil and with Jay, there's some videos, but it wasn't as just rampant as it is when you and I started working together, like around that 14, 15, because that's when Instagram blew up. Yeah. Right. So as that blew up, YouTube was getting bigger and stronger and that, you know, during that decade, in the 14, 15, it was just tons of just super amount of content. And we just opened up the curtains and showed everybody what was going on with that. And then we'd go all around the world, right? We were in India together. We would go to the Middle East together. We were in Australia together. We went to the Philippines together.
That's right.
We went to all the corners of the world, went to Europe together. Yeah. I remember even with, we did workouts with me, you and Phil.
In Birmingham.
Yep. In England. And that was at the Arnold. I think we were out there. It was either that or it was that.
Body Power.
Body Power. Yep.
Body Power.
Yeah. Back then there was Body Power. You're right. You're right. So, it was just like I said, I go back and look at, your phone or my phone and you say, all right, let me see all the pictures of Jeremy, right? Because they have a little facial recognition search. And then you start going back and you're starting, when you're like, you look like you're 12.
Yeah.
And you had hair.
Okay. Yeah. I'll have hair again in a few months.
Yeah, me too. Me too. No, but you actually went and got your hair transplant, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Turkey too?
Yeah, I got the same guys that did C-Bum's hair did mine.
Okay.
Same two specialists did. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm in good hands.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris, for making hair transplants cool.
Being able to talk about them. That is funny. But no, because him, Ian, everybody went down there.
Yeah.
A bunch of people.
Hany went to the same clinic too.
Yep. Yep. Hany went too. They hit me up and I said, there's nothing to transplant. Like maybe my back hair.
And you have an afro.
Yeah. But yeah, so going through it, we did that. We had a really good run. And again, the connection was we ended up doing actually a pre-show. So for this is the trainers that were out there or the athletes that were wondering what was our first show together. It wasn't the Olympia, actually. It was the San Jose. And the San Jose we did because I wanted to see how difficult or easy it was going to be able to coach you. And I said, let's do one show together that's not the Olympia. Yeah. So I don't end up having to taking the burden of understanding who I'm working with and how coachable you were or not going to be at the Olympia. Let's do the San Jose. So that way, if it doesn't work out, you can go off on your way and pick a path. And then I can just know that, hey, look, I gave it a try. Fortunately for everything that ended up happening, it was kind of went with like a Swiss watch. He told you exactly what to do. You did it, even though you had some personal girlfriend problems at the time, and you were going through,
That was pretty much the whole.
That was Jessica time, right?
They're not bringing it up.
Jessica. That was the Jessica time.
It was like a whole phase throughout the whole time with Evogen. There was girl issues.
Yeah.
Shout out to my wife. You're awesome.
You got to be. But I think ultimately what ended up happening was it solidified. Yeah, you can execute. We went through it. It wasn't going to be as big of a pain in the ass that I thought it was going to be. And it was like, okay, great. You did well. You looked awesome. Won the show. God, who was the Brazilian guy that
Felipe Franco?
Yeah, Felipe, super nice guy.
That was a very important time because his following was so large.
I remember that,
and I gained a lot of followers from that show. And remember how intense Brazil was leading into that show, just attack after me on social media. And Felipe after the show told his fans, "Hey, like chill out, give him his respect. I like him.
Give him his props." Yeah, Felipe, amazing guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Felipe. I don't know what you're doing now, brother, but he was always a class act.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that ultimately it taught you kind of like how to be able to work with me too, kind of, because it's a two-way street, right? And taking everything we're doing, because as much as everybody keeps saying I'm lucky, I'm out there, being able to dial people in. But I think it's really about following the game plan.
Yeah.
And I think you did a really good job with that and being able to get in there, win that show. Then we went on to the Olympia, and then obviously the outcome was very positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I followed everything you said to the T. That was probably the biggest thing was I had full trust in your knowledge. I mean, I knew I didn't know nearly as much as you. I was still so young. So everything you told me, I followed exactly, down to the grain of rice, down to every single minute of cardio, the training sessions. And, you taught me a lot about my training, how to properly work out, how to structure and format my training, how to pick up the intensity with FST7 and all of those things. I mean, my training evolved so much because when I was transitioning from bodybuilding to men's physique, I had to bring my size down a little bit. So I started doing a lot of HIIT training, and I was doing even aerobic exercises in between my sets to try to bring my size down a little bit. But I was also training my core a lot more back then as well. And I think that's why my midsection was probably a little better in my earlier years than it has been as of recently.
Yeah. I really was always, I just remember when I saw you, and this is, I don't know if you remember this or not, but they would always give you a hard time and tell you, straight on, Jeremy, straight on, Jeremy, because you had really, really good insertion into the oblique. And then you would tilt your hips, and then shoulders were wide, nice roundness, fullness to the chest and shoulders. And then also you really knew how to accentuate your posing to be able to fit your physique. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people would always ask me, they're like, hey, check out my routine. And then it was always a copy of your routine. It was just funny because whatever you had done that year, everybody would try to kind of like mimic. And
I remember sitting at nationals and Sandy and the judges turn around and be like, that's your posing routine.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah.
It was cool to see that. It was definitely the transition of the men's physique posing, because from the straight to back, we didn't even really do transitions back then. It was just turning around, plain and simple. We didn't even open up our lats. Remember the first, I think it was the second Olympia, they were telling me, don't open up, don't flare, just stand more relaxed on that pose. And now it's the complete opposite.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I remember everybody telling me, or other competitors saying I won because I wasn't posing right, or I was cheating with my posing and I don't hit the standard pose.
Yeah.
And then the year 2019, the year I didn't compete, that was when my angled front pose became the standard men's physique pose. So it was all those years of being discredited, saying, I wasn't posing correctly, it ended up being what it is now today.
Yeah, which is now, it's funny because you mentioned that, because now so many do it.
Yeah.
So many people do it. But I think going into those 4 Olympias, one of the biggest questions that I have for you is, what did you feel like was your best? Because a lot of people ask me, they're like, which one do you think, again, I have my personal favorites, but I won't mention them. What did you think was your personal best in the 4 Olympia wins?
2016 and 2017. 2016, I felt like I was my tightest, like my cleanest look. 2017 was interesting. I was a lot bigger that year. I remember I walked out on stage and I had like this layer of water on me during my first initial routine. And I remember going off stage and I came back on stage and everybody's like, what the hell did he just do back there? I guess I just pushed all that water out because I came back and I was sharp. Yeah. And I think that was the perfect score that year. Yeah. That was pretty clear cut, that one.
Yeah, I think you were a bit nervous too, and we filled you up a little bit more. And one of the conversations that Jeremy and I had off camera before this podcast, it was actually yesterday, was talking about the differences in looks, right? You talked about Sasquatch, and there's a lot of different times that you're going to have some different looks. I think what really it boils down to is with your particular physique, and this happens to a lot of athletes, sometimes you want to feel really full on stage, but you actually look better, more separated, and a little flatter. Yeah. Right. And that was one of the years where I felt like we really pushed the fullness, and we had to kind of like squeeze to kind of flatten you back out, tighten you back up. And then you got more separated, and then you came, the nerves kind of chilled. Yeah. And then after you did your initial, I think it's happened at least twice with me working with C-Bum too, where it was like you came out and it was like, pose, and then all of a sudden the body just kind of resets, and then boom, the fullness and the separation and everything was bang on. But it was like right in the beginning, it's like, he's just got a little layer on him. And then as you pose, the nerves go away, everything just kind of sucks right in, and you just end up drying out from that little layer of water that was under the skin in the initial first round. Yeah. And then as you're posing, you just get harder and harder. But and a lot of times people can go the other way. They go, all right, I'm just really super dry and tight, and then as they pose, they just get flatter, and then they start to
fade a little bit. Yeah,
they like to fade it a little bit.
What was your favorite look of mine?
Man, I liked 16. I really like 16. I like that look. I thought 17 was good too, but I think the best combo was 16.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the best combo of the size with the conditioning.
I think I was only 168 pounds that year too.
Yeah, I think you're 160, 170 because it was like you're fluctuating. Yeah, but it was one of those things where I thought that it was a really good look.
That was the year Ryan took second to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the following year, I think Andre Ferguson took second, and I think Ryan fell out of top 5 that year.
Yeah, I think he dropped for a little bit and then came back, but then he dropped off. Because again, a lot of people, speaking about Ryan, a lot of people didn't, think that Ryan was ever going to win. I remember saying that, and I thought he was super underestimated for many years. But I just remember people are like, oh, he's a little too blocky, or he's a little too this through the obliques and the, you know, the core. But then I think that what ended up happening was that they eventually appreciated the look. So then they go, oh shit, he's really chiseled.
Yep.
So it went from a little bit more blocky through the abdomen because of just the way that his abdomen is just so crazy blocked out, and to, oh, that looked good. From one, it was like almost a little bit of a detriment when he was going against you. Yeah. And then it ended up becoming a strong point now that he's, you know, won the Olympia. What is it, 3 times now?
3 times.
Yeah. So it's, you know, him and I we trained together when we were in India, and it was good to talk a little bit because obviously he wants to try to, you know, meet your four wins.
Oh, he wants to beat it.
He wants to beat it bad. He wants to beat it. Well, we got to match it first. But and I think it's very, very close to the top right now. You got Ollie, you got a bunch of other guys that are moving up. I think that it's very, very close. And I think that it's really a matter of just who's on that day. Yeah. Because it's so close in that top 5 right now that the competition has gotten so good. But if you look at them, you guys all look like bodybuilders in board shorts now, you know? And that's one of the reasons why I think the whole thing finally kicked in was the weight classes. Because, you know, saying, hey, look, if you don't put a cap on the bottle, the genie's out. Yeah. It's going to just keep growing because these guys are going to just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So, you know, I remember sending an email to Tyler and Jim way, like, I think it was before I moved here. So it was back in, I think, 5-6 years ago when I, you know, was like, really, it would be great if you guys put a weight cap on this, because you really need to be able to put differentiation in the categories. Classic, you know, they have a weight. You need to put a weight on them because if you don't, it's going to get it's going to get murky.
Well, that's kind of what it was in 2022 before the weights got implemented. I mean, there were some guys that were getting really, really big on that stage, and some of the guys are even heavier than classic guys. And I think it was smart for them to put the weight caps on there. I don't know. I still feel like the weight distribution's a little off. I feel the taller guys, I feel like have a little bit more of an advantage because I mean, I completely maxed out. Excuse me. I completely maxed out my weight cap where you got like Aaron who still has like 10 pounds on his between his gap, and I'm like, it does, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it.
I know they adjusted. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they adjust again because they adjusted once already for classic. Yeah. Right. Where Chris got 2 pounds. And everybody else got like 8 pounds. Yeah. Right. And I understand because of the, you know, the heights. Yeah. They wanted to try to balance that out. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did look at this again and then say, hey, look, we need to make some adjustments, because the taller guys do have a somewhat of an advantage by structurally just being taller. Yeah. So if you end up making their frame, you know, fill up their frame too much, then it just becomes crazy dominant versus anybody shorter. But I think it's still, you know, they just did this. What was it? 2022, 2023? When was the first year?
2022, I believe, was the first year.
First year they had the weights. Yeah. But like I said, I was hoping it was going to kick in, like, you know, even when you were like right around the time when people started growing, like I think around 17, 18, 19 is when I started mentioning it, going like, these guys are starting to get big. Let's just keep it in a spot. Or I was going to say what's going to end up happening, kind of like what they did with bikini and that fit model, is there's going to end up being another division, and not because there needs to be so many divisions, but I think that what I saw as I was a promoter before when I was in California is that the bar had changed so much that I felt like, I mean, you saw our shows in Cali, you know, with me and Ted. And
in regards to the numbers?
Yeah. The numbers were huge because I think that guys, the barrier for entry was so low that you'd get a lot more people competing. But then when people started looking at, you know, the guys recently, they're so big that they're like, holy crap.
Turned off by it,
a bit turned off by it. So, and I think that's kind of one of the reasons why also, you know, they're trying to reset and did that women's divisions. That's why I said, I wish that the cap would have happened a little bit sooner to kind of control it. But, you know, it's there now. Yeah. But who says that they can't turn around and tighten it up a little bit more? Who knows? But I think that, but it's just, I remember how many people that could train for just 6 months or a year could get on stage at a local show. And now everybody's a bit scared to. and saying like, cause they're so much bigger now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there were guys just getting off the football field or the track that were coming and competing with a month worth of training.
yeah, not a month, but it was 6 months. I remember. Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure.
If you had a 6-pack back then, you can get on stage.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. But yeah, so do you feel like men's physique, besides, you know, the guys physically growing, you know, what else have you seen in terms of changes since you were champ?
I think the division's gotten some more respect. That's for sure. I think the credibility's gone up with how the guys have been training and how the size has been, the conditioning, everything. I mean, there was a big gap in all those things when I was competing compared to like the open category with our density and our hardness and our conditioning. It wasn't required. They wanted us to actually have that softer look compared to that, but now we're pushing the conditioning hard. We're pushing the size. We're doing the more density.
Yes, that is a big difference. You're right. I mean, crazy abs, crazy intercostals, super separated. I mean, you know, it's everything and more in terms of
even the training though. Like you have to be training like a bodybuilder nowadays to be able to compete in this division. Whereas before you had a lot of guys that were still doing functional stuff or still knew very little about training technique. You know, guys I've seen in the past when I was competing didn't know much. I'd get in the gym with them and absolutely demolish them. They're like, this is how you train? I'm like, yeah, this is how we're supposed to train. And now I see the guys, their intensity, their knowledge has gone through the roof. But we also have a lot more resources now for these younger athletes to grasp onto, you know, with the accessibility of social media and all the content, all the programming that's out there, Chat GPT.
Apps.
I mean,
you know, training apps,
yeah.
what we call it, apps, you know.
So I think that's why we're seeing a lot better talent earlier on as well, amongst some other things. But yeah, I think the knowledge and the resources are a lot better now.
Gotcha.
And it's become a lot more mainstream. I mean, bodybuilding and fitness with social media now, there's just so many more. People want to be a part of it. You know, even everyday people are getting into the gym a lot more and posting and trying to live that fit lifestyle on social media. Mm-hmm. It's a trendy thing.
Right. Well, I think it's also, it's ways of being able to connect with people's audience. So you have like Sam Sulik, right, who is doing a video like every day. I don't know if he still does one every day, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Well, that's another good point. You go back to the expos back then. You know, the people that were being featured were usually the winners or the champions of the of bodybuilding, and you know, you go to these events now. It's the social media influencers that are getting, you know, the big deals, and they're getting the becoming the faces of a lot of these events. Yep. And that's just been the shift in the industry and how it's grown and expanded to the masses because of, you know, more of the mainstream audience getting involved.
Yeah, and I think it gives them a content engine, right? Mm-hmm. So when the Trend Twins are getting ready for a show and they want to talk about, you know, dieting and whatnot, it gives them that content engine and gives them a lot of ability to be able to be transparent with kind of like the, you know, the diets or whatnot. And somebody might be following the Trend Twins who they just look up to. It's in entertainment, it's whoever, you know, to their core audience. But then if somebody's getting ready for a show, they go, oh, that's kind of cool. And it's cool because it creates kind of a bridge to our industry. Yeah. Where in the past, everybody wanted to be a champion, right? In the past, it was like, I wanted to be able to be Mr. Olympia at whatever division, right? Now it's more about also, hey, this is cool. I see girls now competing because they want to get their social following up. Yeah. That's it. They're like, hey, I'm just getting ready to do this bikini contest because I want more engagement and I want to be able to have people more locked into my journey. Yeah. And again, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of, it's just different because that's the evolution of social media. That's the evolution of bodybuilding at this point, you know? So again, it's a lot different than when, you know, you were coming up.
It has been. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, or when I was coming up and everybody was just wanted to be featured in the magazine. Right. Or eventually be like, man, I can get that.
I mean, that was one of my goals, was being on a magazine cover. Right. You know, they don't even have magazines anymore. So, but yeah, that was one of my biggest accomplishments, was being on the cover of, you know, Iron Man. That was something I've wanted since I was a kid. You know, I got a couple covers and seeing them internationally, it was awesome. It was walking through the airport and seeing me in one of the newsstands. Like, that was cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. That was definitely man, people.
I would go to the grocery store like weekly and look in the magazines just to see if I was in it, you know, and oftentimes I was during that time. It was pretty cool. My mom has like all the magazines stored away. She'd go buy them all up. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So at this point now, retirement, right? So when you and I spoke a year ago, you were going to do maybe one more show, you said.
Yeah.
And so you just got done doing that. That was the Olympia. And how did that feel doing the last show? I know you didn't come in your peak because you mentioned that. And we ended up doing a workout together, and we're getting ready to do another one actually today right after this podcast. But how did you feel about that last show?
You know, I'm proud of what I accomplished. You know, obviously I didn't get the result I want or show up exactly the way I wanted on stage, but you know, I had a goal in mind of getting back up on stage after the ruptured Achilles in 2024. You know, I opened a gym in the middle of my prep. I had a 1-year-old son. You know, there was a lot on my plate, so it was a big accomplishment for me to get on that stage and complete this prep in the midst of all of the things I was taking on in my life. I knew it was going to be a challenge when I took it all on, and I knew I was going to be in a fight for my life, just trying to balance everything. But I managed to get through it all. You know, I had a great support system. Sanjay was right by my side the whole time, helping out with everything. And, you know, I think I achieved one of my best looks ever. I mean, I was probably the biggest I've ever been on this prep. You know, 2 or 3 days out, I was on the money. I thought I had a really good shot.
I saw the pictures.
I thought I had a good shot at winning it. And I went into Vegas, you know, thinking that there was a chance. And I thought I was in the conversation. I was in the conversation. 2 days out, you know, I feel like my all-time best I ever looked, and I was very confident. And then we started carving up, and I started to fade a little bit. You know, my line started going away, and I remember waking up Friday morning, like, oh shoot, like we're going backwards. And
do you feel like you spilled?
I think so. I think also that, and then stress and lack of sleep, and just
the cortisol.
There's a lot going. There's so much going on at Olympia, you know, for me, because I'm seeing all my fans, and everybody knew this was my last one. So my Meet the Olympians booth was wild. Me and Rough Diesel were the last ones to shut it down. I mean, every year is usually like that. Me and C-Bum usually shut it down in previous years, but I always pay a lot of attention to my fans and try to give everybody the time that they need or want, because I do appreciate them. I mean, they've the ones that made me successful in the sport. So
you didn't have me to tell you to go back to your room.
I had Wadi telling me to, but I just didn't. I still don't listen too well sometimes. I wanted to make a point to make this special for my fans the last time around. I wanted to meet everybody in my line, and I stuck around. Yeah. And
you knew that was your swan song, that was your last one. So.
Yeah. I'm not going to blame my conditioning or the way I show up on stage because of that. It was 2 days before.
No, I'll be honest with you, that does affect it.
Possibly, yeah.
No, it's not possible. I'll tell you right now, it does. That's one of the reasons why I didn't let you do that, right? Like, same thing with Chris. Yeah. That's the same thing with Jay. Jay will tell you. Like, you know, Jay's used to standing there for hours. And I remember in 2009, I'm like, I literally had to watch, and I'm like, look, dude, we're done. Yeah. We're done. We were there for like an hour, and I was like, we're done.
Yeah.
He's like, no, dude, I got this line. I'm like, sorry, we got a job to do.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a line like this if you don't end up winning the show.
That's true.
So you got to go back and do that. So again, it's hard because it's literally the day before prejudging, and you're on your feet already for hours because you have the press conference, you have all these things, and you know, the format's a little bit messy in terms of like for the athlete.
There's just a lot going on that week. I mean, literally back to back, trying to get your training in at the same time, making check-ins, you know, press conference, the Olympians.
It's jammed up.
All that. It's just nonstop that whole week.
And that's exactly what you do. For those that don't know, what you have to do is you have a press conference, then you have to turn around, get a meal in, and then if you have to train, you got to quickly go run and train. Then, because again, press conference, you got to be there between 11 and 12.
I mean, we didn't sit down one day on Thursday, the Meet the Olympians day, because we had everything that day.
And then what you're doing is then you're getting ready for the Meet the Olympians, and then you still have to get your tan. So then you're either tanning before Meet the Olympians, and then you have a coat on there and you're dripping because it's hot and sweaty because you have all of the people that are in the same room that are just there to see all the athletes. Or you have to then rush and go to get tanned right after the Meet the Olympians. So again, the formatting gets a bit messy because you don't have time to even sit, where normally if in a perfect vacuum environment, you wouldn't be doing any of this. You would do a quick meet and greet, or you would just do a quick little one or the other.
And that's how it is at the smaller shows, you know?
Right.
I mean, Sasquatch, I mean, I was in and out. It's either at the house or at the event.
Yeah, and people don't want to take all that stuff in consideration when they're like, why is the Olympia this way? Or why is that? It's because you have so many obligations that you got to do. And it's just part of it. It's just, you have to take that in consideration. Yeah. It's not something that you can get around, or you can turn around and say, hey, can they adjust this or that? They have, and they try to, and they always try to make it better. But at the end of the day, it's just like the Super Bowl. So you have so much prep for those last 3 days that you got to do your athletes meeting. Then you have your, weigh-ins, you have your check-ins, you have all of those things. And some of those things take hours and hours and hours because you have so many athletes, right? And you have so many more divisions now. So all of these things take more and more time because it's just exponentially gotten so much bigger at the Olympia.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't understand that. They just go, hey, I thought you were just going to be resting in your room. And you're like, no, you got to be out there shaking hands, kissing babies. You're selling merch. You're doing whatever else you're also doing there. Yeah. So it's a business.
Not all the competitors have to do all that stuff, though. That's the thing. Is like there's only four of us at the press conference. Not many athletes had lines at the Meet the Olympians. A lot of these guys are still working their way up and gaining their fan base. Sure. So I mean, there's just a lot on my plate being in the sport for so long and having established myself and having a lot of fans that wanted to meet me. I had to pick and choose what I was going to do, and I chose my fans. So, sure. Would I go back and do it over again differently? Probably if you were there, yeah, you probably would maybe shut it down. But like I said, I've always loved being around my fans. I've always been very gracious towards them, and that's why I'm so, at the events. It's what I love. I love going out to the expos. I love seeing the people that support me. It means a lot. Without the fans and without the sport of them, we wouldn't have an industry.
100%. Yeah. My suggestion was to be able to do that meet and greet on Sunday. And
that would have been smarter, yeah. But they probably wouldn't have as many fans stick around for it.
They probably wouldn't, but that's like I said, if there was going to make that expo until maybe a 3-day and then do Sunday, so that way everybody can kind of go at the booth, shake hands, kiss babies on the Sunday, less stress, and you can spend the whole day there because you ate the night before, after the show, and you're just more relaxed. There's less cortisol. You're not tense about going out and tanning and making sure that you're not on your legs all day. If there was a way to do that, I think that would definitely help a bit. But I do know that there's always formatting issues, right? Because of the scheduling. So, and I know Jake and Tamer and Dan, everyone's trying to work on.
I mean, there's so much going on that weekend.
Right.
There's so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even outside the bodybuilding, they have other events there too. So it's just.
So speaking about the Olympia, you got anything you want to be able to discuss on that side? Is there, going in, I know that there was some talk about maybe having you on their show or do a podcast, because I saw something that just came out that you did a podcast with them.
With Olympia TV? Yeah. I'm broadcasting for Primetime Muscle. Okay. For the next, I think 6 episodes. So I'm flying out there tomorrow. I'm shooting with Tarek and Tim Wilkins. And we'll be discussing a lot of different topics. We're going to be discussing the Arnold coming up. Yep. I'm excited about that. The Arnold is going to be an amazing show, and across all the divisions, I'm really excited to see. The men's physique division is packed. Yes. I'm really excited about the open division too. Yeah. So I'm anxious to see if Hany is going to be able to make it out or not.
Yeah, I mean that whole thing,
because that's going to change a lot if he comes out there. It's going to change. It's going to switch up a lot of the placings.
Who do you have for the men's physique division?
It comes down to who shows up.
Give me your top 3.
Brandon, Edvin, Andre.
Okay, Andre. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's going to be good. He's supposed to be come out here, so I got to talk to him to say he was going to try to come by and train before he goes out there. Yeah. So again,
I'm a big fan of Andre. I love his physique. I think he's, I think of a men's physique competitor, I think of Andre. He's got the total package. Mm-hmm. So if he can dial in that midsection.
When I was coaching him, the problem was that Tyler didn't like was that his arms were still big, and it took him 2 years of not competing to get his arms down so that they didn't look so jacked like a classic guy.
From my personal opinion, I like his physique. I like the bigger arms. I like that from Tyler and the judging standpoint, But in my personal opinion, he's one of my favorite physiques on the planet.
Yeah, because he's very round. He looks like Arnold-esque, right? That's what I like about Andre. He's very Arnold-esque. He's got that 3D like chest, shoulders, arms.
Like if I were to have to pick between looking like Ryan, Ali, or Andre, I'd rather look like Andre. Yeah, out of all 3 of those guys. So
he's just got that rounder, fuller look. He's got that rounder, fuller look. Ali's, got a great midsection. I think, obviously,
Ryan's he's complete. Yeah, he's complete.
He just all the way around looks crazy. Mm-hmm. But I think that, the roundness. That's why I always liked Andre posing too. Yeah. I think the problem that Andre is always going to have an issue with is just because these other guys have a little bit shorter arms, and Andre's got a little bit longer arms. Yeah. That's what makes him so impressive when he opens up and does a frontal bicep, or we get him to pose in between sets. It looks so crazy impressive. Mm. But also when it's down by his sides, it's just always just a little bit less a little more out of kind of spec with the other guys that have shorter arms, right? And he's got a little bit longer arms. And so I think that just throws him off just a tiny bit. So I think that with just some adjustments to his posing, that'll help. And but that's also why I liked his arms full. But it was one of those things that even when he didn't train him and he would train back, his arms would kick in. When he trained chest, his triceps would kick in. You know, his back would.
He's still got like 20.5-inch arms.
Yeah, he's got crazy arms, beautiful peak, really round chest. Like I said, you know, working on the midsection.
Well, how many weeks before was Romania? I worked out with him in Dubai. I think that was like 3 weeks before Romania, and he looked great.
You worked out with him a day before I did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a day before or a day after?
I think it was a day after.
Day after I did. Yeah.
And he looked great, and we had a great time training together.
He's such a fun guy.
We hit some posing together, and it was good. We had an arm day together.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate. Like, what we got to do is we got to get Andre out here. So Andre, if you're listening to this, we got to get you out here, then bring Jeremy out, and then we can do the fusion, because I think between all of those, you know, FSC 7 workouts that I've done with you guys, it was like Andre with the leg extension. People love to see me like throw them back into the leg extension. And then with you, everything from when we were doing ladders and we were doing all kinds of stuff, you know, doing, you know, posing in between your sets, and you had the little, you know, the red stringer on or the blue stringer on, hitting most musculars, getting crazy.
Do you remember not the first bodybuilding.com run, but we did a second one? I think it was in, where was it? Maybe it wasn't bodybuilding.com, but I think we were in Jacksonville. We went out there and we shot some series. Yeah. And you thought it'd be funny to start with calves the day one. And you knew I didn't train calves. I'm Filipino. Filipino. I have calves. Yep. But you thought it'd be funny to throw me into an FSC 7 calf workout day one. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
No, not the calf workout. I'm sure you do.
I was pissed. I was wrecked. I couldn't put my heel on the ground for 3 days. I was walking on my toes, and we had to get through the whole.
Is that when we had Per Burnell with that shoot?
I don't remember who was shooting it, but I remember having to find a physical therapist, a massage therapist out there to get my calves scraped out because I couldn't walk.
Oh,
I was
because you never trained.
I never trained my calves, and you put me through the ringer with a calf workout, and I did it, and I paid for it. And I was not happy. I was so mad at you.
Well, you stopped doing those calf workouts,
huh?
And then that's why you tore your Achilles, because you stopped doing those calf workouts.
That's probably it.
No, but seriously, like you were. I think. Now that you mention it, I think who did you end up getting? Didn't you like ask one of the local pros, or was it Justin Compton or somebody that I think somebody got you a massage therapist? I think when we were out there.
I think it might have been Justin. That wasn't the same trip with Justin. That was a different trip with Justin. We went to that old school gym. And remember, I said something about I scraped my hand on it, and I said something on Instagram about I need a tetanus shot, and I had to apologize to the gym owner.
Oh no, I don't remember that. Dude, you're so out of pocket on some of these things.
I remember a lot of small details. I have a good memory. Yeah. But yeah, no, I remember that. The gym owner was pissed. He's like, "You're making my gym look bad." I'm like, it's a rugged gym. Like that's what I thought the vibe was. Everything was rusty.
People are a little sensitive too about stuff like that, like tetanus.
You thought it was dumb though. You're like, hey, just say sorry to him. I'm like, all right, I'll say sorry. It wasn't anything.
I had to tell you to say sorry a lot. I had to say it a lot. But going into Arnold Classic, like I said, that's going to be a really good show. And for those that are wondering, if you hadn't seen yet, let's talk about eVision. Okay. You contacted me a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Told me your contract was coming up with GAT. And I go, well, you've been with a bunch of companies. What do you think I'm doing? And I'll let you take away the story from there.
Well, yeah, I called. I had reached out to you because I hadn't talked to you in probably at least a month or two.
Yeah.
It was after the holiday or right before the holidays.
Yeah.
And I think it was Olympia was the last time I saw you.
Yeah.
And I reached out to you. You didn't text me back. So I called Nick just to make sure you're all right, because he usually texts me back.
Yeah.
So I called him. And
I think I got buried.
You were busy. Yeah, you were. I just remember calling Nick, and I hear, what'd you say? King Chalupa?
Yeah.
Hey, King Chalupa. I was like, what's up, man? So we started catching up on the phone. I brought it to your attention that my contract was ending, and you're like, what do you think about doing? Well, I was like, well, I was going to reach out to Raw, reach out to Rise. You're like, well, hold on,
Let's have
a conversation first.
Well,
and I was like, it's funny you say that, honey. I actually wrote you up a proposal yesterday.
I know.
You already wrote one up? I'm like, yeah, I have it. I'll send it over to you. So yeah, it's been something. I mean, I've personally I've always wanted to get back with eVision.
Yeah.
Something that my wife and I have talked about for years, something that I've talked to Sanjay about the last few years. And this is even before we even rekindled our relationship. It's just something that I've felt in my heart that I've always wanted, and I've always had a feeling that it might happen, despite us not thinking it would ever happen.
Well,
there's been something in me that's been telling me that there's a possibility, and there's a reason why I didn't cover the tattoo up. I've been proud to have this tattoo. I'm Evogen, you know, I have Vanquish tattooed on me. You know, you guys have been such a big part of my career and my life outside of just being a sponsor. You know, it's such a big chunk of my life is this sport and what we've accomplished. And, you know, Vanquish being with me since 2016, and, you know, you guys being with me since the very beginning and helped me through a lot of tough situations personally, on and off stage. And, you know, I appreciate what both brands have done for me. And everybody, you know, gives me shit for putting a logo on me, but it's more than that. So I wouldn't, never mind.
Right. It wasn't just because you didn't cover up the double helix. And I was trying to get into that because before you talked to Nick, it was more about you trying to make amends, but also saying, hey, look, you know, I've changed. And just, again, us talking for the last year. And I think, obviously, marriage has done you very well. Mm-hmm. I think, you know, you've gotten closer to God. I think having kids put things in perspective. Mm-hmm. And it's been 7 years since all that shit happened. So I told Nick, because Nick said, I really think you should give him a second chance. You know, Nick went to bat for you big time, right? And that's why I said to you, you know, well, let's have further conversation. Mm-hmm. Because you were, I think you were talking to Nick when I walked into his office, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he told me, he was like, you know, we put it on speaker and like, you hear your voice, and that's, like I said, hey, what's up, Chalupa? You know, for those that don't know, I'd call Jeremy Chalupa as it's a term of endearment. But it's one of those things where I was like listening to Nick in terms of just what his thought process was. And, you know, and obviously, you know, I stopped following you when all that stuff went down, you know, for the longest time until you made that public apology. And then that's when I saw you. I was with Chris, actually, when 2 Olympias.
This 2023 prep, I think we made those videos. Yeah.
Yes. And you made the videos kind of, you know, very publicly apologizing. Because one of the things that I didn't really get into on the last podcast was the fact that there was mention about apologies, but it was more apologies to me personally, but they weren't very public apologies because a lot of the stuff that when you were going through, your frustration with the, you know, whatever was going on.
I made it very public. Yeah.
Yes, you made it very, very public. And I think that was my biggest thing where they're like, you know, how many years are you going to let before we'll let water pass under the bridge? And I said, when he realizes that you can't publicly put something out there in a negative manner and then privately apologize. Yeah. But that's what, and then I saw you, I think it was about,
because I had tried. I sent you some DMs and stuff and apologizing and
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, those were text messages and DMs. So that's why I said, like, you know, and then when I saw the video, because again, people tagged me on the video, like obviously like 1,000 times. Right. Yeah. It was then I saw you at the check-ins when I was with Chris, and then I pulled you aside and I said to you, you remember what I said to you?
Yeah. You told me you were proud of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I said, I'm proud of you for turning your life around and being able to do this. And I know we're going to run into each other a lot during this weekend because it was your first year back. Yeah. Right. And this first year back. And obviously I'm not working with you in any capacity. Mm-hmm. So when I said that, I go, we're going to run into each other a lot. I don't want there to be any awkwardness. And I want you to focus on positivity and go out there and kill and do what you do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want you to have any more anxiety because I know you deal with anxiety. Mm-hmm. You know, I've helped you with it a lot. Right. I didn't want you to have any more seeing me going, I wonder if he's still pissed at me or not. Yeah. So that's why the first chance I got when I saw you during the check-in, I wanted you to know that. Yeah.
No, it meant a lot to me.
Yeah. So that I can make sure that that's not something that's going to be in the back of your head. You know, if you see me backstage or if you see me in the audience or if you see me anything, that there's no ill will at that point. I appreciated your public apology at that point, and I just wanted you to go out there and kill it, you know, because I know that you were going to put 100% into getting back on stage and showing your best. So with that all being said, then we fast forward to this now moment where, you're going to come out, we're going to work out together. We're going to talk about, whether or not it was going to work out bringing you back.
Yeah.
Nick, like I said, Nick's been, my right-hand man for over 15 years.
Yeah.
He saw it. He saw the frustration. He saw
He saw everything. He was there. He was there in the middle of it all. Yeah.
Yeah. He saw it all. But then he had a lot of faith in you. And also, and again, he wanted it to be something where he felt like, I think this would be kind of cool to bring Jeremy back.
Yeah.
And so again, if you don't know, Jeremy's officially back with Evogen. People are asking, I'm sure the first thing you can ask is like, is there going to be another prep? He's retired, I'm retired, but you never know down the road because I'm never going to say never. But at the end of the day, right now, it's more about just you gave that proposal about like, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to share a lot of content, but I want to go back to the education and a lot of the things that we used to do together.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, you put a lot of thought process into that. And obviously it shows how much you care, and you always cared, even, when we went around the world, you cared about the fans, you cared about giving out the right information. You cared about, just being able to connect with the audience and make sure, there was a lot of teaching moments in there. So it was always good. But when we went through it, myself, Nick and the rest of the team, we just sat down and we, and looked at it, said, okay, this is where, would you do it? And I said, I took it to fairness, and I said,
I figured.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Anybody who's as close to their wives as I am to mine, she's been to every Olympia. She comes over, she just bleeds it, and she saw it through. She was there on the high points.
Oh, she wasn't a big fan of me in the past. I know that.
Yeah. And I think more because of the fact that obviously there was a lot of dinners where.
Well, I talked to her at the 2022 Olympia.
Okay.
I did. I went up to her and apologized to her outside the hotel. I saw her and I spoke to her briefly, and I did apologize to her in person. So I think that's when she started following me again and engaging a little bit with me and my wife and commenting on the kids' pictures and stuff. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that it was one of those things because she knew how much she had hurt. I had hurt because of all the different things that built up to that, where there was, arguments or, whatever that you had in your chaos that you had going on.
Yeah.
I would have to back out of the kitchen table and dinner table with the family and be outside for an hour on the phone with you.
Yeah.
Or, anything.
That happened often.
Yeah. That happened a lot. And it was one of those things where, it's like, how do we make sure that doesn't happen again? How, what goes on? And that's why the last year, talking to her, it's like she was following you, like you said, back in 2022 again, several years after the whole, shit went down in 2019, January 2019. It was hard because it was like, are you okay? Would you be okay with this? And she said to me, she goes, I think he's worth giving a second shots to. You know what I mean? And that was kind of it too. Because again, it's not only Nick has to co-sign on this, but the people that were affected with all of the prior stuff. And again, for those that don't know, obviously, if you talk to Chris or you talk to Phil or you talk to even Jay, several years I worked with Jay, and obviously Jeremy, anybody, I try to put my heart and soul into everybody. And that would mean that not only my coaching, giving direction in terms of diet or nutrition or training, but it's also,
life coach
and life coaching, right? So it could be anything about, investments or money, or it could be,
relationships, everything. Yeah.
Right. You'd get into it with your dad and you'd call me.
Yeah.
Right. And, because of past, stuff that you guys had. Mm-hmm. And I think that ultimately I would do whatever I could to pave the way, because what I always felt as a coach.
You went to court with me one time.
I went to court for you.
Yeah.
That one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, forgot about that one.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really and everybody asked me why. They're like, why, honey? Why do you do so much? Why didn't you just do the program and just leave it? Because I want to try to dial in every possible variable and make sure there's the least amount of friction. So if there's something that I can share with a client, I want to be able to help pave the path of success. So if that means that it's going to be something that is going to be emotional, financial, any information that I can share that's going to make things easier for them, I'm going to be able to do so. And so I think that was always the case. But also, that's also probably why I stopped, right? Because it's so involved that it was one of those things that are like, that's why we were like, oh, well, why did you stop coaching? Or why did you do this? And I said, because I didn't feel that formula was it was just diminishing returns. And I wanted to be able to just spend that energy with the fam.
Yeah.
And because that's who deserves it. And who knows down the road? People told me the other day, asked me the other day, they're like, I was at the mall and somebody stopped me. And they were like, would you go back to coaching after Cameron goes to college? Who knows, right? But for now, I'm not thinking about that. All I want to do is just focus on being able to work with the up and comers, because it doesn't rob me of my summers, and I can structure, shows around certain things. And those high stress environments of Olympia, I go into hyper focus mode, and everything, I have to block everything out. So I've talked about this several times, but who knows down the road what's going to happen after Cameron, graduates high school or whatnot. But for now, that's all I'm thinking about, that, and then growing the brand, coming out with more products, being able to create solutions that I don't feel any other brands are going to be able to do at the level that I want to do it in. Yeah. And the quality and the, just the efficacy of the product. So I want to be able to focus on being able to do that. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting because, again, some of the things that we've done in the past together, I'd like to be able to bring back with the Evogen platform. Also bringing back the new variants of the FSE7 program, which is basically like a high intensity program. Again, I made that program so that the clients I had that were not with me could create intensity without me. Yeah. Right. It's basically high intensity mixed with high volume, but at given certain points in time, whether it's off season or pre-contest, there's some different variables, obviously, but it's something that I've been very, very excited about. Is that just in the last couple of weeks that we started talking about this possibility of you coming back to Evogen, I was like, how would I make it different? And how would I keep it similar? I still want to go around the world like we did before. I want to be able to do the four corners and be able to do it. And I think you have done some of that traveling even without me.
Yeah, we've done some traveling. Yeah.
Okay. But it's one of those things where I think you enjoy it as much as I do to be able to give back to the audience,
Absolutely, yeah, I do. But there's the Evogen way of traveling and doing things, and then there's the other way, and there's a big difference in that. And I got to experience that firsthand. Like the grass is not always greener on the other side. So
what's the other way?
It's just there's a certain standard that you always establish with the travel, and I got to experience that from 22 years old. There's a right and wrong way, or a certain way that it wasn't the Hany standard. It wasn't the Evogen standard of what I expected from being with Evogen and then going to other companies and traveling around, just seeing I had to figure a lot of the things out myself and do a lot of the accommodations myself, and just also the prestige and the treatment that we got out there was a lot different. Yeah. So it's going to be nice to be back and be able to travel back around the world with you.
Yeah. No. I think it's one of those things where you do want to be able to have that level of respect when you go into a certain market. Yeah. And being able to kind of document it even at a higher level than we've done in the past is exciting. And again, you're now, 35?
Yeah.
35 years old versus 22.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference. But like I said, I believe everybody deserves a second chance. And so as much as I really didn't think this was going to happen, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I never thought that I would ever think about bringing you back. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to it.
I am too.
I'm looking forward to it. So, So for those of you, it's going to be quite the journey. Let us know what you want to see in the comments below. And we'd love to be an open book and share it with you. And hopefully you guys will get something out of this as well, because I want to be able to share as much as I can. And I'm sure Jeremy is going to have a lot to be. New gym owner, he's got brand new business that he just launched. So if you guys are up in Northern California, you definitely want to check out his gym, Roseville, right?
Roseville.
Yeah, I got to make it out there too. And so I'm very, very, very proud of you for being able to, turn your life around, bringing a lot of things in, got the family going.
Yeah, things are going good right now.
Yeah.
It took a long time to process and understand and pull lessons from the things that I went through. I hold on to a lot of bitterness and anger and shame and resentment and blame for many years. Probably up until 2021 or 22 was when I finally was able to take a look in the mirror and really understand that a lot of the problems I was experiencing were self-inflicted problems. And, getting married to my wife, who is the yin to my yang, having kids, getting my relationship back with Christ and really focusing on not making myself the priority and living the life that I was planned to live and being the person I'm meant to be. And it takes work. It takes a lot of effort in order to call yourself out on some things. You have to humble yourself a lot and remove a lot of the ego from yourself in order to make the changes that need to be made. It's easy to say you're changed, and a lot of people thought that I was just talking a lot on Instagram at the beginning. I'm just saying what people wanted to hear, and I dealt with that for a few years, and it was understandable. It was frustrating because it was a gradual change, and I was probably speaking about it first before I actually applied a lot of those things, but it was something I was actively working on, and it took time. But I have made those changes, and like I said, went through a lot of dark times in order to get there. But once I did take responsibility and ownership for a lot of the things that I went through, was when I was able to start healing, and I was able to start letting go of the resentment and the anger and taking that responsibility. And that's where I felt the growth really started to happen. It's where my heart started to change. And I'm just grateful that we are given an opportunity each and every single day to wake up and reinvent ourselves and to improve upon ourselves. And I went through so many years of being narcissistic and thinking that it was everybody else. And a lot of the times the situations that we're in, we put ourselves in without realizing it. And with maturity, I've been able to recognize those flaws, and I've been able to fix those things. And I'm still not perfect. I still have a lot of things I'm working on, but I'm far improved upon the man I was in the past. And I can say that when I look at myself in the mirror now. I can go to bed and be proud of myself. What I've been able to accomplish, on and off stage in the recent years, I didn't think was going to happen in 2020. That was the darkest point in my life, was, going through COVID and losing all my endorsement deals and losing my physique and not really knowing which direction my life I was going to go in. 2021, I was, trying to figure out what I was going to do for a living at that point. I remember calling my mom and my dad. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't go back to bodybuilding. They don't want me. What am I going to do? My mom was like, go be a cop. My dad was like, go fight. Go do something. My mom was like, I don't want him to fight. I don't want to get his face hit. But I didn't, I gave up going to UC Davis, studying pre-med to become a bodybuilder. I invested all of my 20s into bodybuilding and developing this platform. And, I compared it to somebody going to school to be a doctor, going through getting their degree to getting their master's, going and getting their doctorate, and then decided they don't want to be a doctor. I kind of felt that same way with bodybuilding. I gave up my college dream and at 19 years old and pursued bodybuilding to become the best at it and to make a good living from it. And I had accomplished that just to burn it all down to the ground. And that was really, really hard to swallow. And then looking around and seeing the success of the guys around me that I was ahead of at a given point in time, and just realizing, damn, look at the opportunity that I lost because of the way I acted. And it's like, I can't let my emotions get the best of me anymore. I can't let my emotions take away the blessings that have been presented to me, because I wasn't in the right posture to receive those blessings. And that's why God humbled me and he took away all those things from me. He stripped down all the materialistic things and really got me back to the root of what is important. And that's my faith in him, my relationship with my family, relationship with friends, and, ultimately loving myself and taking care of myself. Because there was that 2018, 2019, I was living for all the wrong reasons. And, that showed through, obviously, on social media. And, you guys all saw where it led me. It led me to nowhere quick. And when you start realizing what's important in life and you start doing the right things, God will take care of you. So that's what I've been diving into, is just diving into my faith and trying to listen to what God has for me and giving it up to him and trying to let him take control. And it's hard for us as humans to be able to, hand over everything to him. And it's like against our nature.
Right.
It's like rewiring the way what we were born into. And it's been an interesting ride to see the way God's been working in my life and in my gym and everything around, and how he has been answering prayers and how he's been giving me redemption. I had everything stripped and taken down right in front of the whole world, and he's rebuilt me in front of the world once again. So that's just a testament to his grace and his love and his goodness. And for anybody that is going through a situation where they're feeling guilt or shame, I want them to be able to pull from my story and see that there is redemption in the road, not to give up on yourself, never to quit fighting, and to own up to the things that they know they need to own up on. Be a man enough to be able to call yourself out on your shortcomings. And that's what being a man is, I feel, is recognizing your flaws and being able to fix them instead of just ignoring them or brushing them aside. So that's the biggest takeaway I've gotten from this is accountability.
Yeah, I can definitely feel the tone, not just by your words, but also kind of how you react. I think many things would have triggered you in the past. Just anything could have just triggered you. And now it's just spending several days with you here. And also, just like I said, talking to you this last year that we've reconnected, it's definitely a different Jeremy. So, pray for you, brother. And just, it's one of those things where I feel that, God is good.
All the time.
That's it. So, again, guys, go in the comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you'd like to see from us. I appreciate everyone being a part. It's also the 18th anniversary of Evogen. That was another thing that I was thinking about. Now, 18 years is when you turn as an adult. So we're adulting here at Evogen. So again, the stars have aligned. So for all those that wanted to know whether or not I'd ever consider bringing Jeremy back or, even training with him again, we've been able to do both this last couple of days.
Yeah,
so
we're back, baby. You've seen a lot more of us.
Yeah,
so it's exciting.
We're going to have some fun sharing with you everything like I talked about and about the journey. So again, Jeremy Windia, appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Hany Rambod, and that's the truth. Peace.